Okay, so I got off of here and I went out and I was doing some cleanup. That's why this worked, doing some cutting. And I realized now's the time for my addendum, because I'm a dumbass portion of the show. I don't edit, as everybody knows. So therefore I forget stuff, and there's a couple of things that I forgot on the prior video. So I'm going to work to rectify those right now. I feel like I left you hanging about the efficacy, how well that little grinder thing works. And also because I'm setting up in my tractor, I thought it was going to be so cool, but I got my angles wrong. I jammed my saw in and it was at a weird spot and I couldn't show. So since I'm starting another video anyway, I'm going to go ahead and, well, just give me a minute. I got to get the fuel on again. I got to get the tractor up and basically what happened, I don't know if I got this right now, but out in the woods things are a lot different than they are here. And one of the biggest things is you can always find a spot to set up your saw to the correct working height. Now I blew that last time. I cut my groove too shallow, so the saw was sitting too flat. Because to use this grinder, and I realized something, this is not the perfect, let's just say find what's comfortable for you. Find the thing that works for you. In this case, because I'm using this log for demonstration, I decided to run my blade down a little deeper. Because it's in the tractor, I can set it at any height. The trick is that you have to be at a height that you are comfortable with. You have to be able to get at a height. I'm still a little low, so I'm going to crouch way down here. And you come in, remember before I said it's all about the moves. And it really is. I've been making some, I sharpened these, sorry. You're bleeding all over the camera. One of the other videos I'm making right now, because it's the time to, I'm building 50 BMGs and I'm hogging out aluminum. I'm using another hand tool to hog aluminum out. Playing with the focus in case you didn't notice. I don't know if I got it right. It's so bright out here. We're not used to this. It's like nuclear apocalypse out here in Washington. When the sun comes out, we all go, what's that thing? I did it again. I just need to quit. I'm so used to leaning on stuff in my shop. You don't lean. Don't lean on a sharp saw blade. That's not smart. So anyway, the trick always is in the preparation. It's find yourself a spot. And I'm supposed to have my gloves on here, but I don't but this tooth is angled that way. I come in with my gloves. I get this thing set. I match everything up to the perfect angle till everything is right. Remember, I want this to be cutting. I find out which way it turns. This one's turning like that. This tooth is one that I want to sharpen into. So I come in like this. I get nice and solid. I fire it up and I just ease into that tooth and I cut back. I maintain the perfect angles. I cut. Man, I need to quit bumping those teeth or put my gloves back on. This is stupid. And then if you want to dress it up, I'm good enough with this little guy that I don't even dress these up with the Goofy when I'm done. Now all I do is I throw a Goofy in my pack, or in my vest, and that just reminded me, this chain might get in the way for what I'm doing here, but if it does, I guess I'll move it. This is just where I carry it when I'm using it. So that's one tooth. I come in like this. The other direction of the other tooth, I come in from here and I come down like this. So I can hop down this blade, but the trick is to find, this thing is going down like a mother. I left it while I went out and did some stuff. So I had the saws out and it's not wet and I didn't want to get my saws all. So anyway, now that I'm back, I didn't realize how I had it up a little higher. But find a spot, when you're out in the woods, for myself, I go cut an alder, just a tag alder piece of crap that I'm not going to use for anything. I set it exactly where I want it and I drop the saw into it if I don't have the gator with my perfect setup where I can just blade spins. Boy, pulling on that blade without gloves on is a dumb thing, but I am pulling. So again, find the spot. These are the keys, and I feel like I kind of left this on the last video. I didn't quite clarify that the key is in setting the saw at a place where you can get right to it with this little grinder so that you can do the dance. Into the tooth, into the tooth. Some of them you have to go upside down. Some of you, but they cut on both sides, so that's not a problem. The trick is to cut into the tooth. Into the tooth. And it might be that the working for this one is down in here. But you have to learn to have your gloves. Now, if you're the kind of person that is going to have a guard, I just realized this thing is deboned already. So yeah, it could cut you. You know, if you're that kind of guy, then by all means don't drive to church Sunday morning, because driving a car is dangerous. Don't take a shower. You could slip and fall and break a hip. But my point is, debone the machine, get your gloves on, and by the way, with rubber or leather gloves, this thing won't, you can hit it pretty good and it doesn't hurt you. This is just an abrasive blade. But the trick is with the gloves. Now with the gloves, again, you can get your fingers right down into those teeth and not cut yourself. Get yourself locked up nice and tight. Come in, get your face right down here too. I mean, you're gonna be right down here. Come in, zit. And, or if it's the edges all rounded off, it's zit, zit, zit. But the point is in seconds without burning that tip. Man, I just did it again. Just need to stop that. You can get these teeth to razor points, and if you're good with this machine, you're done. I can sharpen with this so bloody sharp that I'm cutting myself as I go here. Just make sure that your last touches are gentle and make sure that you're not grinding. But the biggest thing is you can get rid of all those. These things just catch my skin. I mean, they're just wicked sharp. That's what we want. That's how a saw works. A sharp knife is a safe knife. A sharp saw is a safe saw. Period. There are no other alternatives. A dull chainsaw will eat you up. It's a bad thing. So, I just felt like I wanted to touch on the fact that get the saw set to a comfortable place. Block it up however works for you. I did this just because it's something you do out in the woods when you gotta set something down, make a couple of notches, drive it in, get it so the saw spins, but it's locked up. But again, I just wanted to reiterate that this is not only a roughing tool, but it's also a finishing tool. With this, you could carry just this and sharpen any saw, anytime, anywhere, no matter how badly you've damaged it. And that's the key. When we work, we break stuff. When we take a saw out and use it, we touch stuff. One of the trees, the logger came and cut down one of the trees in my range. It's big enough that I didn't want to mess with it. Didn't want to. Forget that. Not qualified to. You know, trees up to 3 feet in diameter, I'm fine. But when it's big and it's got to go somewhere where, anyway, logging is an art. Guys that can drop trees and crush a pop can or something else, and this guy can not only do that, he can lay 10 trees together so you can go put one hawser around the tips and pull them out. Not that you have anything on the property that could pull 5 furs, because it's not going to happen. But I know when he logged this, he put the tips in. I went out, spent a half hour with the grapple, this grapple, brushing out, and all of a sudden, boop, all the tips popped out, and I pulled them out one by one, bump, 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 from the same spot. Huge mounds of brush, big as a house. But that's just bragging on my logger, because he's good like that. He is also the one that taught me to sharpen with a goofy file. And he taught me to sharpen. I think now you can see these teeth. On a tooth that's pointed out this way, you sharpen inward On this tooth, you sharpen inward. You sharpen inward. You sharpen inward. Sometimes you have to tighten the chain up. Now, I run my chains pretty tight because I got a really super cool oil that's lubey like that. My chains don't stretch. The other thing is, this brings me to something that I'm kind of glad I made this video. The reason chains stretch is because they're not sharp. Maybe that's my personal belief, but I run these bad boys tight because they cut like butter. There's never any pull on the chain. The chains last forever. They, without me, now I'm just going to stop with my naked little weenie baby hands. I'm not going to mess with those teeth to show you anything. But the point is, it's hard enough that it pulls a little worse, maybe, a little tighter. This is a big enough power head that it's not that big a deal. Some of my little saws, like that little 360, I'll run the chain a little bit looser, and where I'm going is sometimes I have to tighten the chain or put a clamp on here because sharpening from the outside. There's a bunch of tricks, and we're not going to get into it. The other thing you can do, and the easiest way, is that you can't, this chain is tight enough you can't pick it up, but if it was loose, like on the 360 or on, anyway, you could pull these up, and they'll come up an inch or so, and you can jam something under them, and that'll tighten them. Only the trick is you don't do it on the top, you do it on the bottom. You tighten this down, you jam something in there, and that locks this top in. Then you got to pull it out to advance. So I don't normally do that. Because I brush it up with this tool quite often, if I'm out cutting, doom, 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 and all of a sudden it starts to pull me at all. Because a big saw and a long bar are great for an old man, because old guys don't like to bend over. It makes I walk funny anytime I work for a little while during the day because my back hits all like this. So, in the interest of staying upright, long bar, lots of teeth, and you can stand all the way up straight. And that's just key. When you can stand and run your saw, a couple of things happen. Number one, let me just show you that. Speaking of which, since I've got time on this video, these are totally off the subject. Oh, nope, saw didn't fall. This is completely off the subject, but it's worthy to throw on here for those of you. I'm a safety geek. I am all about the safety. The trick with a long bar, see if I can get to where this is in. I can reach the ground while I'm still standing vertical. So I can go along doop, 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 doop. And when the blade comes at me, it can't even hit me. It's going to hit the ground before it gets to me. It's safe. Little bars, and little dull bars in particular, are deadly. They'll hurt you. And so I need to be really clear. You want big bar, long bar, keep it away from yourself, and keep it bloody well sharp. That's it for right now. Just trying to make my fix-it video to let you know that when I say sharpen, this is not just for fixing the teeth. This will actually sharpen to the point that the best file you have ever used. You got to be good with your hands, and that's a caveat. You got to be able to see, find the angles, and make those angles like a sculptor would. But if you can do that, you can use this and never. I don't break out my files anymore. My files are languishing in the bags, just because of the fact that I can do what I need to do just with that, and it cuts like butter. And if I need to make a notch or a piece of furniture or something to work on, something to sit on to eat my lunch, I can walk up and do, and just whack every direction, punch through, punch side. And that gets into falling. Watch some of these interesting videos about the 10 different ways to fall a tree. Leaving a tab on the back side of a tree can work out really well in a lot of cases. Maybe I'll run up and, I got trees here, man. I got, I'll stop. All I'm doing, there's nothing really to show. Little trees over there. But with safety in mind, all I'm saying is, when you're sharpening, get the saw up to where you can get to it. And I'm just rambling now, so I'm going to shut this thing off. This is my add-on video just to clarify a couple of items that I felt like I missed on the last one. Later, guys.